Hey everybody, Tom Barton here from TomBartonSports.com. We're doing our college basketball previews, and we're here for the SEC college basketball preview. If you do like this, please make sure that you hit the like button below. Subscribe to my channel. Go check me out at TomBartonSports.com, Tom Barton Sports over on Twitter. If you want to write me, it's TomBartonSports@gmail.com. Well, I did this last year, and I'll tell you, I got a lot of responses, so I'm doing it again. All of my college basketball previews. Last year, I was really high on Tennessee. I was there. I was wearing this jersey. I'm ready to go. Oh, that didn't work out so well. But hey, guys, we're going to get into the SEC anyway. Forget about last year. We're moving forward. Look, the SEC, it's now a basketball conference, right? I mean, that's what we really have to look at. 4 schools made up the NCAA's top 16 seeds last year. The SEC cracked the top 3 in KenPom ranking. I mean, you look at the SEC, and it's suddenly become that kind of team, that kind of conference. You have teams like Kentucky, Alabama, LSU, Arkansas, all right in there. I talked about Tennessee. Everybody is kind of enthusiastic in the SEC. But March was not kind to this conference. Not only the Tennessee team that I talked about, but Kentucky, Alabama, LSU. You could call it embarrassing of what happened to these teams in March. And I think that that leaves a bad taste in people's mouth nationally. But the SEC conference is still just ridden with talent, and it is one of the deeper conferences in America. I'm not going to call it the deepest. I think the Big 12 is a little bit deeper, but it is one of the deepest conferences in America. I can really sit here and probably make a good, compelling argument for 4 or 5 teams to win the national championship out of the SEC. So let's look at where I do have them finishing. Well, Kentucky is the team everybody wants to talk about. Yeah, they got embarrassed, you can say it, by St. Peter's. I thought St. Pete's was a pretty good team, and I actually had the points in that game. But they got embarrassed by St. Pete's. The Wildcats, look, they look good during the regular year, though. Let's not overreact to just that one loss. It was a bad game. It was a bad way to exit, sure. But their regular season was really good for Kentucky. Now you look at this and you go, all right, can they have that kind of, hey, we're back, don't remember us because of that type of situation. The reigning Woodard Award winner is back on this team, right? So you look at him, you go, the best player in college basketball, was absolutely fantastic last year. And now Calipari's kind of system is back in place, and it should be successful again. When you have somebody like that on the team, yeah, absolutely. And you look at, it's not just a one-man show here. Frederick is pretty good from the outside. You look at a Livingston, you look at a Wallace, they're coming back and they're good. And you wonder if the National Player of the Year with this kind of coaching staff and these guys, can they get over in their own minds what happened last year? It's a mental thing as well. Losing to a team like St. Pete's. It's not the exit that happened. It's who you exited to. And the national stage where everyone is looking at you and everybody's kind of talking about you because of that. I think that there's 2 ways Kentucky can go here. Kentucky's either going to come back angry and just really take it out on teams, specifically early in the season, with that look at who we are and just forget about last year mentality, which does quiet down critics. And maybe they pull off of Virginia, right? What happened to Virginia? Embarrass, come back and win it all. Or Kentucky can kind of let that critic and those people get into their ears, and maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. I think the first one, look, I think that Kentucky early on in the season is really going to really flex their muscles overall. I don't know if Kentucky has as good of a regular season as they do, but I think they'll be much more prepared for March. I think Kentucky has a deep NCAA run. I'm not doing any St. Pete stuff early on in the NCAA tournament this year. Arkansas is going to be right there battling with them all the way. And it's a defense in Arkansas that you look at and you go, now that's their identity. Their identity is that they're one of the best defensive teams in the entire country. Eric Musselman's approach used to be in Nevada, used to be that tough, bang it out kind of team. And that's what he's bringing here now, that defense. They've had 2 top 10 defenses the last few years. Yeah, that's what they're bringing. And that defense separates them specifically when it comes time to playing against the good teams. Now, Arkansas may not have the greatest regular season run. Maybe they don't get inside the top 5 or the top 3 or whatnot, but they'll always be right there. And when it comes down to postseason play, I don't think anybody wants to play Arkansas, right? I mean, they've made 2 straight Elite 8 appearances. Now it's time to take the next step for Musselman, though, which is a national championship. They did lose Williams and Note, lost him to the NBA, okay, but they have the 2nd-ranked recruiting class overall, including Nick Smith Jr., who's coming in. That should really help them out. Let's go to Tennessee, the jersey that I am wearing. And I believe that Tennessee was the team last year. They lost Kenny Chandler. They lost Fulkerson. They lost quite a bit here, you know, from what they were. And I looked at them last year and I thought everything kind of fell into place. I think that everything for them this year is not really in place. It's not bad, okay? It's not certainly bad. They're still going to have a pretty good defense. And Jordan James is still a top 25 guy in defensive rebounding percentage. I think their defense is going to be what they lean on. But in a conference like this, I don't know if defense is enough to overtake the big boys. They'll have a good regular season. They'll get into the NCAA tournament. And in the NCAA tournament, defenses can certainly win some games, but I don't see the ceiling as a national championship for Tennessee anymore. To me, the ceiling for the NCAA or for Tennessee is like an Elite Eight run, which I'm not even sure if they get there. I'm not down on them because they lost for me last year. I'm not down on them because I was picking them last year. I'm down on them because I don't like their roster overturn, and I don't like what I watched last year. Let's be honest. Alabama, meanwhile, Nate Oates' fifth year, all of a sudden, his fifth year. The NBA just went crazy on this team, and they took a bunch of guys, including Shackelford. It's not a team that we're used to, right? It's going to be all new starters. It's going to be the same head coach and the same system. But when you look at this team and you go, okay, well, that guy's gone, that guy's gone, that guy's gone. You're trying to replace him with a guy like Welch from St. Bonaventure. He's a good player. I like the Bonnies, right? And he was a good player. And Mark Sears from Ohio. Yeah, these guys are good players. Plus, Brandon Miller, an All-American, McDonald's All-American, is going to come in. So I think there's going to be turnover, but expect some early bumps in the road, specifically early in the season and even early into the SEC season. I think it's going to take a while for these guys to all kind of gel, coming from different programs, different teams, and different systems. Auburn, first weekend blowout by Miami, which didn't look so bad later on because Miami went on to make their run, but it looked bad at the time. Another team in the SEC that just disappointed in March. Now they come back and, you know, they are missing a couple of guys, but Johnson and Green come back. They scored about 30 points per game combined, and they do have a top 10 defense again. Defense is the name of the game once again. Bruce Pearl has gotten this team to new levels at Auburn. But I think, again, last year and even the year before that, I think people were talking about Auburn, maybe a Final Four team, maybe an Elite Eight team. I think their ceiling is capped again this year. Now, I like the defense, so similar to what I've already said. I like the defense, but I don't know if I could see anything past a Sweet 16 run for them. Florida, new head coach, right? Todd Golden comes over from San Francisco. I love the Dons. I loved what the Dons did. He's going to be the second youngest coach in the big conferences, and he is a guy that's bringing with him his philosophy, and it's going to be a lot of analytics, a lot of new age stuff, and that's not to say San Francisco new age, but yeah, a lot of different ways to kind of do things. It's an analytics approach here. It's not coaching by the seat of your pants, and quite contrary to the ACC where I talked about you got 78-year-old, you got a 74-year-old, a 73-year-old. No, this is all getting younger, and it's young, and it's exciting. Kyle Lofton returns. He was a 4-year starter at St. Bonaventure. He's going to take over Appleby's spot, and I think he's a better player. I really do. I just do. Will Richard from Belmont. If you know me, you know I love my Belmont. He's a really good player as well. And they get Bonham from VMI. So a lot of transfers. Again, transfer, new head coach, but I like the enthusiasm. I like where they're heading. I can't sit back and tell you that I'm not excited about the Florida Gators college basketball program this year because I do think they hired the right guy. I do think they brought in the right recruits. It's just a really tough SEC for me to get overly excited about them. Texas A&M comes in, and Texas A&M looked like, yeah, they were going to the dance, and then they were one of the last ones out, and it didn't feel right for Texas A&M. Buzz Williams now has 4 starters coming back. I think they easily get into the NCAA tournament. I'm looking at projections having them 7th or 8th. I could see this team finishing in the top 3. Yeah, 3 or 4. I could see them finishing there. I don't think they're a threat to win the SEC. I think that they're definitely a threat in the NCAA tournament to win a game or two. I mean, they certainly can. I like returning starters. I like returning starters from a team that feels, they feel like they got snubbed, and that's the Texas A&M Aggies. LSU, what is this team, right? I mean, what is this team? Will Wade, scandal-ridden, goodbye, here we go, it's terrible. They return one guy, basically, from this team, and he wasn't anything special, 4 points per game. So here we go. Now you bring in Matt McMahon, but hold on, don't get down LSU because Matt McMahon comes in. He led Murray State. I like the mid-majors. I talk about the mid-majors. Murray State was a dominant force, winning 20-plus games on a winning streak. They were really good. He also brought Murray State guys with him. KJ Williams comes over. Justice Hill comes with him. Illinois, he grabbed Adam Miller from Illinois. That's pretty good as well. So I like what they did when you're talking about you're keeping it in-house. I don't expect a huge turnaround this year. You can't. Not with what everything that transpired in LSU. It's just a mess, right? But I like what they're doing. Bringing the familiar guys, bringing familiar faces. This is how we do things. This is how we did things the Murray State way. And you can chuckle at that and laugh at that. They had a 21-game winning streak. Yeah, this is the Murray State way that you want to see. Mississippi State comes in, new coach as well. Chris Jans comes in. And, what do you expect from Mississippi State? They're going to be okay, right? Talu Smith should be all right. He didn't play great last year. They'll be okay, but they're in the bottom half of this league. And same thing with Missouri. Another first-year coach, Dennis Gates, comes in. He did get a pretty good these guys that are hitting the transfer portal hard are doing it the right way. You got Isaiah Mosley. This is a good get for them. I think Missouri could be that thorn in people's sides. Look, they were 12-21 last year. Can I see them winning 15, 16 games this year? Yeah, I can. Can I see them winning 20 and flipping this 21-12? No, I can't. I've seen people be over enthusiastic about them. Missouri can certainly get to 15, 16 wins. Maybe they threaten 17, 18 wins. I think 20 wins is a little out of the question. I think Missouri being a competitor is a little out of the question, but I like the steps that they're taking. Ole Miss injury guys are all back. They're going to be just another bad year. Look, all the injury problems, I should say, are just back for this team. Ole Miss, at one time, they had that small window. It looked like they just can't catch a break. It's going to be just as bad. Georgia, same thing. Georgia is going to come in here. Mike White comes in, and you'll look at what he did, 6-26 last year with Georgia. I don't see much on the horizon where you could say, well, they're going to win more games. Yeah, well, maybe, but not much on the horizon for Georgia. Hey, Georgia, you guys still got football. Don't worry about it. Vanderbilt comes in. They got a winning record last year. Right? They had a winning record last year, but it was all on Scottie Pippen Jr. When you look at the volume that this guy had, it was all Scottie Pippen Jr. It was throw the ball to him, bring it out to him, go get it, get him the rebound in his hand, in his hand. And that was what Jerry Stackhouse wanted to do. Just feed him. We didn't have him. So where do you think that this team's going to go? Well, they're 13th, 14th, maybe dead last, right? South Carolina could prevent them from being dead last because they have a new head coach as well. Lamont Paris comes in from Chattanooga. They got some interesting guys that you could get excited about, but overly, no, I don't think so. I think that when you're looking at South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Ole Miss, these are the teams, the four teams that are going to be battling it out, and it's just stay out of the basement. Missouri seems to be right above that, but I think Missouri has a big-time ceiling. So who are you asking me here? Look, I like Missouri. I like the direction they're going. I like Florida. I like the direction they're going. Obviously, Alabama's going to be a threat, but I don't think that it gels in time for them. And same thing with Tennessee. So that brings us down to Arkansas and Kentucky. Look, I'm going to go out there and tell you that I think that Kentucky does have that fight back in them. I don't know if they get a full Virginia, Tony Bennett redemption kind of situation going on, but I certainly do think that they win the SEC. I think that they are a threat in March Madness. Do I see a Sweet 16 run? Yeah, sure, for Kentucky. Yeah. Do I see an Elite 8 run? Yeah, probably for Kentucky. Do I see them in the Final Four? If I had to choose right now, most likely. So I think they're a very good team in the regular season, but I think that their real onus is going to be, can they win a national championship? And if I'm talking about national championship, that means I think that they really do dominate the SEC this year. I think they come out angry, hungry, and I've seen this before with Tony Bennett's team. I think it's the same kind of thing with Calipari's team and that National Player of the Year. Maybe not a repeat National Player of the Year, but it wouldn't be surprising. All right, guys, that's going to do it for my SEC basketball preview here. I'm Tom Barton from TomBartonSports.com. Go check me out at TomBartonSports.com. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the like button here. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments as well. I want to hear, what do you guys think? Who are you most excited about with the new coaching changes? Check me out at Tom Barton Sports and TomBartonSports@gmail.com. You could reach me there. Enjoy your SEC season.